was only last week that we learned of the disgraceful treatment and conditions which some wounded vets were enduring in the outpatient facilities at Walter Reed Army Medical Center in Washington. Within days, the Army sprang into action, vowing repairs and reviews and commending the media. But today, in the fourth story on our countdown, we're also learning now of additional steps the Army is taking, steps being taken against those wounded vets. Specifically, wounded vets have been stripped of some of their First Amendment rights, ordered not to speak to the media anymore. The Army also suspending previously planned media coverage, including projects by CNN and the Discovery Channel. Also from now on, recovering vets will have to wake up every morning at 6, be ready for inspection by 7, even though most healthy soldiers no longer go through daily inspections after basic training. And some have been ordered to observe the chain of command from now on when complaining about their living conditions or seeking help with their paperwork. All of these developments being reported today, not by one of the news outlets that reported the Washington situation last week, but by the Military Times newspaper chain. Let's bring in the reporter responsible for that, Military Times staff writer Kelly Kennedy, an Army vet herself, who's been chronicling vet treatment at Walter Reed for the last several months and doing a terrific job in doing so. Thanks for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Your story is based on statements made to you by anonymous soldiers at the medical hold unit. Is there any official confirmation, denial, any response to their claims?
There is. They confirmed only that the soldiers will be moving from Building 18 to Building 14, but everything else, the public relations people denied. They said that there were no formations and that there were no orders not to speak to the media.
So they're moving from 18 to 14. Is that for the reasons we'd hoped, that they're closing down 18 or remodeling it? It was the one with the particularly outstanding vermin and insect problem. Is that the reason they're being moved out of there?
Well, that's what the Army says. The soldiers were under the impression that they were being moved so that the media would not have access to them, so the media would not be able to talk to them. And of course, the Army did say that they need to move them out of Building 18 to refurbish it, to remodel it, and get rid of the mold and the mice.
The business about being prepared for inspection at the crack of dawn, wounded vets, is there any plausible explanation for that other than that they're being punished because they went to some degree public?
Well, the soldiers say that the Army says that they aren't requiring these formations, and I don't think they are anymore, but it sounds like yesterday morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, people went through the barracks screaming, "Wake up, wake up, wake up," and banging on doors. And the soldiers said they felt like they were in basic training, but this morning that didn't happen. So I think that someone realized that that was a bad idea. The soldiers also said that in a meeting on Monday they were told that they would have inspections because there's going to be the investigation next week, and generals and civilians will be walking through that building, so it needs to be clean.
Do you, from your experience and from the soldiers you spoke to, do you buy that explanation?
I buy the explanation that the barracks need to be clean, that if officials are walking through, they will need to keep it clean. I'm not sure I buy that there never was an inspection to begin with. The Army PAO said that the inspections would be inobtrusive and that they wouldn't be at 7 o'clock in the morning, but that's not what it sounded like happened.
Just last week, the new Defense Secretary, Mr. Gates, praised the media in an exceptional, I mean it not necessarily complimentarily, but exceptional as in unusual manner, praised the media for shedding the light on the conditions at Walter Reed, including places that don't ordinarily get praise from people connected to the Bush administration, like the Washington Post, like NBC News. Do you have an assessment? Was he being disingenuous, or is whatever happened to these kids in Walter Reed something he doesn't know about? There seems to be a disconnect between those two things.
My big question through this whole thing has been the GAO reports, the Government Accountability Reports, documenting these problems with the disability evaluation system came out in March of 2006. So I'm not really sure how people could not know. I don't know that the media necessarily uncovered something that people didn't know about. There were congressional hearings. Soldiers came and talked about their problems there. So I'm not sure where that's coming from.
Do you know, are the promises that were made to clean this situation up from Mr. Gates and others in the military chain of command, have they been acted upon? Have measures been taken as promised? Have quick steps been taken to ameliorate the situation for these vets?
I know the elevator was fixed in Building 18 on Sunday, the day that the Army Times and the Washington Post articles came out, the first ones, and they've been coming through and checking with the soldiers to see what needs to be taken care of in their rooms. As far as the disability evaluation system, it does look like they're looking into it, and there was an Army Surgeon General report that found 87 problems with the system, so they've been looking at it.
At least that part of it seems to be happening. Kelly Kennedy, correspondent for the Military Times, ahead on this story and really to the public good in capital letters. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for staying on top of the story.
Thanks for having me.